Hello and welcome to World Talks here on TVP World. I'm your host Benjamin Lee, and please join me and my guest on this next interview. Reports saying that at least one person has been killed and 36 have been injured when Russia launched a large-scale missile attack across Ukraine. But since Russia's invasion of Ukraine, one Polish volunteer has turned civic action into frontline lifeline. Mateusz Wodziński has raised money, bought, repaired, and personally delivered more than 300 off-road vehicles to Ukrainian soldiers. Now, this week, he was honored with Poland's Benemerito distinction for strengthening Poland's international standing through his work. Joining us today on TVP World to discuss why a single SUV can save the lives is Mateusz Wodziński, entrepreneur, volunteer, and founder of the Turnówki na Front initiative, whose grassroots efforts has become one of the most effective civilian and operations supporting Ukraine. Hello, sir, and welcome to TVP World.
Yeah, hello. Thank you for having me here.
So before we go into the details of your work, I would like to talk a little bit about the latest attacks on Kyiv. Now, this is one of the largest yet, and we've seen reports anywhere from between almost 700 to 1,000 drones striking the capital. Things are being left in rubble, and people are still being rescued. Now, in your personal experience, when in this kind of chaos and these type of attack happen, what do the people on the ground need the most, and what are the resources, or what are the ways to kind of react to it from, be it the official perspective or your volunteer perspective?
Well, I think it is important to distinguish between the attacks on large cities like Kyiv or Lviv and, what happens in the frontline areas, because that's where the war is happening, and that's where we go. We deliver cars to the soldiers who are fighting on the front line. Whereas here you're talking about an attack on Kyiv, which is where just regular civilian people live, and those are who are affected there. So this is kind of a different scenario from where we normally are used to. And so this is definitely hitting the civilian population a lot, and so that is a very bad thing.
All right, and going to the SUVs, I'm very curious about your work. Can you help us understand why has these used SUVs become so valuable when it comes to the Ukrainian frontline?
Well, this is a very rare commodity, I guess, here in Ukraine during this war. It's because it's kind of like it's a product that gets used up and destroyed really quickly, and it's an absolute necessity where when you're a soldier on the front line, you need to move around. You need to be able to move to your positions back and forth. You need to deliver all sorts of ammunition, food, medicine, people, and this is a constant need. And as there are so many drones over there right now, they really get destroyed very quickly. And so, when I started out 4 years ago, there were no drones, and the need for these cars, for these trucks, was not so huge as it is now, because they weren't getting destroyed as quickly as they are getting destroyed now. So as far as like tanks and artillery and ammunition goes, that's not what we do, but we get these cars to the soldiers, and I guess you can say that this is the most direct way of helping Ukraine's army for a civilian or for a civilian organization. Like, we don't deliver weapons, but we can deliver trucks that are used every single day over there.
All right, and while you've already delivered more than 300 off-road vehicles to Ukrainian soldiers at this point, my question would be, what is driving the mission forward, and what is driving you forward to do this?
Well, for me, being Polish, it's very simple. It's Poland and Ukraine. We have our interest is aligned in that, we want Russia to be as weak as possible, because Russia is obviously waging war against Ukraine right now. But Poland is also Russia's enemy. So we are also on a target, not right now, but we are a potential target. So as a Polish person, I want Russia to be as weak as possible, the Russian army to be as weak as possible. And, nobody is doing that, decreasing Russia's army's potential than Ukrainians. So from day one, it's been obvious to me that, this is in both of our interests to help Ukrainians and to keep them fighting, so that they can defend their land, and so that also indirectly they can make Poland safer as well by, reducing Russia's army's potential.
Right, and what you said is very amazing here, how being a Polish person, this might sound pretty straightforward, whereas Poland and Ukraine's interests align. Now, recently, with be it information warfare, be it a war fatigue, or various other reasons, there has been reports of more Polish anti-Ukrainian sentiment. Do you personally observe that in your line of work, or do you think these are overstated from a Polish person's perspective? How would you characterize the relation between Poland and Ukraine right now?
I mean, it is a very complicated relationship because they are at war. We are sort of providing them with a lot of help, and they constantly need more. So to a certain degree, it is understandable that, we are in the 5th year of the war and people are getting tired of it and are losing interest in it. There are also a lot of Ukrainians in Poland. And so, yeah, it's not a perfect relation between our countries, but, there is this prevailing thought that the Ukrainians must keep defending themselves and must keep the Russians as far away from Poland as possible. So as far as there are a lot of little disagreements, I guess you can say, between our countries, but there is this one huge thing that is keeping us together, and that is not going to change. So as long as Russia exists, we are in it together, and so that's the bottom line.
Right, that is amazing. As long as Russia exists, we are in this together. Is this how the Ukrainians are receiving this message as well? Again, in your line of work, when you help bring these vehicles to them, what's the general sentiment?
Well, they are getting vehicles delivered and given to them, so obviously they are happy with it. But especially now, since the war has been going on for so long, it's not. There isn't as much aid coming to the front line as it used to be 2 or 3 years ago. So I think that they are even more appreciative now of what we do than back 2 or 3 years ago. So because there's just there are fewer volunteers, fewer NGOs going over there and helping them. So if they see that this is this operation has been going on for so long, and we are still there, we still drive those almost 2,000 kilometers to the front line every other week, and yeah, I think they appreciate it a lot. And not only because we bring them cars, but also that they can see that they haven't been left alone completely yet. So there's someone from outside, from Poland, that realizes that we should be helping them, and we still do. So yeah, that's been my experience.
What I find very amazing is not just the job you do, but how kind of nonchalantly you're describing this, because we do know you're driving these vehicles to the front line. What has been difficult, or some of the dangerous moment that you see, and are you not afraid to carry out these missions?
I think I can say that I have been increasingly afraid of going over there, and it's all because of the drones and how full of them the front line is. It's a constant threat. If 3 years ago we were able to get as close to to the enemy, to Russians, as even like 1 kilometer, and now it's not even possible to get anywhere closer than 10, 15 kilometers because it's too dangerous because of the drones. So it's kind of like as you get closer to the front line, that this area, like 30, 50 kilometers away from the front line, is already dangerous, and you are in constant threat. And so that's been very unnerving, I guess.
Right, I can imagine this must be very difficult. But again, thank you so much for the work that you do, and thanks for giving us this opportunity to talk to you. Really appreciate it. Thanks for being with us on TV World.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for tuning into this edition of World Talks. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.